Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. With the new school year starting, I know a lot of you guys are looking for ways to improve your focus, your readability, your memory, your productivity, and everything regarding that. So I know you probably have a lot of questions now because you have walked into that first class, listened to some weird formulas that your teacher told you about, and now you don't know what to do. So step back, you grab a drink or anything, and let's go through how you can study more effectively and become a top student in your class with just a few techniques. We're talking about priming, the memory palace, and then time blocking. And these aren't really secrets, of course, but it almost seems like it because everyone should know of these three techniques, but because if everyone did that, they would have the best grades possible. But fortunately for you, you will get to know them in this video. First up is priming. Now, when you think about priming, you may think about like painting walls or something. But yeah, priming, it's a nice word actually. But priming is essentially a psychological trick that you make to your brain. Because priming prepares your brain to receive information and memorize it more quickly. It's almost like warming up for a workout to avoid strain and boost recovery, basically. The idea is to get your brain into a state of total absorption and focus by you learning the techniques in beforehand. But how do you actually do priming? Priming is essentially a way of being proactive, and instead of reacting to material, you learn it in beforehand. So let's say your teacher posts a schedule on what you guys will learn. And let's say it's chemistry and you will learn about covalent bonds in the next course or the next lesson or what you now call it. And by doing research and reading the pages in beforehand so you understand it a bit more deeply, then just going into the class with no knowledge at all will help you significantly. Because if you have read and understand a small part of covalent bonds, you will make connections much more clearly when you are at the class. So let's say you have a chemistry lesson. Read through the pages that you will go through, or find the pages, or ask ChatGPT, or search it up on yourself. Just get a grasp of what you will learn, and once you've learned it, but you don't have to learn it in like the most deep way possible. You don't have to know everything about it, but you should have a grasp around it. So when you actually learn it from your teacher, you will make that puzzle more clearly. And that's basically what the memory is that it's a big sort of puzzle that connects dots. And if you already have those dots in place, it will be so much easier to connect it and then remember it. I know a lot of you guys don't really have the structure to do that. You may be thinking, oh, that's a great idea. But Erik, I will never have time, or I will never allocate actual time to read before the class. I won't even read when I'm in class. So let's talk about the best organizational technique that I've been using for like 5 years, and I'm only 19, so since I was 14 years old, and that is time blocking. Time blocking really explains what it is because you are blocking times in your calendar. So let's say you have a chemistry lesson at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. You put that in your calendar that is a time block where you have a lesson. But before that, you put another time block that says, I will prime for 30 minutes before this class, and etc., and add the pages, etc. And what you do by that is that you allocate time in your calendar beforehand and say, this time I will do that. And let's say you will study after class, maybe you will study at 5 p.m. You do a block saying between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., let's say it's a 2-hour study session. If it's between 5 and 7 p.m., you block that out in your calendar saying, I will not do any single thing other than to study chemistry for these 2 hours. And this is also good if you have a sort of a phone addiction, because in that sense, you could write to people saying, oh, I will do studying here that is quite deep focus and I don't want to get disturbed. So if I don't answer, have that in mind. And then you just chuck your phone away to the other room or put it in the bin or whatever, get that phone out of your study setup. But that's basically time blocking. One specific time where you will do only one thing and that thing only. But the key to this is to treat your time blocking, or what I call them study blocks where you will study, as appointments, and they are non-negotiable. If they are in your calendar, you will perform and you will study during that time and nothing else. When you start to say, oh, maybe I don't, maybe I won't, maybe I can do that instead, or maybe I can look at my phone, or maybe I won't deep focus, then this technique really sucks. So for example, I have time to block me recording this video right now, and that's the only thing I'm doing. I'm not sitting and scrolling TikTok between sentences, or I'm not doing anything other than just being present and recording this to you. So have that in mind. Now that you both have the understanding part and the productivity part, the last thing is the memory palace. The memory palace is a technique that's also called the Loki technique, maybe, if you've heard of it. And if you watched Sherlock Holmes, he apparently talks about it. I haven't watched that, unfortunately, so I wouldn't know. But I see a lot of comments saying, oh, that's what Sherlock Holmes uses. But basically, it's that you visualize things for your memory. So let's say you want to read about history. Instead of just reading and rereading and rereading every single page until it sticks, you systematically make your brain want to stick the information. So let's say you want to learn about Marie Antoinette, which was the queen back in the time. And you think about that, but instead you just reading and reading and reading through it all, you make connections and you go into your room and you say, oh, Marie Antoinette wanted to give, said, oh, why can't they just eat cake instead of bread to the peasants that were living in France during that time. You go into your room or your study setup and you visualize a big cake sitting on your desk or sitting at the table or in the bed or anything like that, and you connect that part that Marie Antoinette did it to that cake. So you connect visual things to the things you read. Or maybe it could be that you walk into your room and on the sofa there's a big mitochondrion, which is a part of the cell. So maybe you go and you see that and then you remember, oh, I should add the information to this mitochondrion that is on the sofa, and your brain starts to make connections and memorize things much more easily. The key is to make these images much more vivid and bizarre. Just think about anything, connect what you believe to that single thing and create your own memory palace. I've actually made a course on this on the Ultimate Student, which goes more in depth with actual techniques. But it takes a long time to actually grasp, so I can just go through it in 1 minute, a 10-minute video. But I hope you understand the format of what I'm talking about. And that's probably it. I've talked about priming, time blocking, and the memory palace. If you want to learn more, go to the Ultimate Student or message me on DM, and I will try to help you. Because my goal is to help you and nothing else. So that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe if you did. Please don't subscribe if you didn't find it helpful. And now I gotta get back to studying. So I'll see you in the next one.